Morning, this is Mark from Cedar Creek Bottoms Farmstead, coming with another Fireside Tales. Hope everyone's doing okay today. And we didn't get to release this yesterday, so we're redoing it because we found out that I made a boo-boo the other day when I was videoing this, so sorry about it being out a day late. But I had to say, this is the time of year it gets real busy for me and her with the farming and other things going on. It's just a busy time of year. But hope everyone's doing okay this weekend. Looks like it's this real pretty day today. We had fixing right here in just a few minutes. I got to plant some corn skips. Thought my planter may have been acting up, but some other fields I planted the corn come up good like it's supposed to. So I think it could be a seed issue. I don't know. I'm gonna go out here to plant some skips. I don't like it when it does like that, but sometimes that's all you can do. So plus, me and her today got to get ready for our monthly campfire here at the house. You know, anybody local that's listening to this, you're more welcome to come when we have them. We do them the first Friday of every month. First Saturday of every month. We do just a simple campfire for people to come socialize and talk to each other and give each other encouragement and because this world needs it right now. To build that community, to build that community. That's I know a lot of the other homesteaders are hitting on that. They've been hitting on it pretty hard. And me and Rebecca started this last year, and it's turned out pretty good. We always usually end up having a good crowd. A lot of times it's kin folks and just friends. We've had our neighbors come, and that's one thing we was wanting. That way we get to know our neighbors in the area a lot better. We've had a few other homesteaders come, so it's doing like it's supposed to do. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing. So if you live in the area, that might be something you could start in your area. Just something simple. Just something simple. Let's get on more about Creepy Mountain. Like I told you in the last episode, me and Keith, after with Mr. Tall, figured out that we'd had boogers on that club. And of course I told you about some of the previous things that happened in the past up there that were pointing toward the boogers. Anyway, like I said, me and Keith started going up there a good bit at night time. At the time, I was working a job where I'd work a couple of days and be off a couple of days. So that allowed me and him to do a lot of our stuff during the week when there's not a lot of human activity up there. Most of the human activity on the clubs, of course, Saturday and Sunday. People going fishing at the lake or riding their four-wheelers, and then, of course, during hunting season, hunting. So middle of the summer, there's not very much activity up there during the week. You'll have somebody every now and then that would get off work, maybe go fishing that evening, or you might have somebody that takes a couple of days off and goes camping at the lake. But that wasn't real normal because most of the club members at the time were locals. So it's kind of like that old saying, why you want to sleep in a tent 2 miles from your house when you got a bed. So But so and we when we started doing the stuff we did, we wanted to make sure we wasn't having human activity. That way we were knowing what we were dealing with. So that's one reason we done most of our stuff during the week. When weekends come, we didn't do a whole lot. We just kind of backed off, you know, just because we knew be human activity. So what me and Keith started doing and talking with Mr. Tall, you know, that first summer of 2007, we basically just would go up there on the club at night, and we just went to different spots of the club. We might do a whoop, might do one tree knock, we might just yell. It really wasn't getting no response much. And, you know, went to talking with Mr. Tall about it, and he said, well, try this. He said, instead of going up there calling to them, he said, just go somewhere and sit back and chill out, and you and Keith talk and have a good time. Build a fire, sit back, talk. We said, okay. Well, at the time, I had a set of hunter ears that I had gave to me for Christmas. A very good set. And Keith had bought him one of those handheld dishes. It's got like a trigger, so you pull the trigger and it, you know, you can listen. I think it also had a device where you could pull it in and flip it and then hold it for you. But we both had those, and we'd been carrying them with us. And like I said, you know, the first few times we went, didn't really hear nothing. We got on into August after taking Mr. Tall's advice about just go up there and sit. You know, just go somewhere, sit a while, talk. You and Keith talk and act like you ain't paying nothing, no attention, and, you know, just have a good time. So that's what we did that night. We went up there and we went to what we call the four-way, which is right above the beaver pond. You've done heard me mention the beaver pond. You're going to keep hearing about the beaver pond area, and you're going to hear about the lake and all the different areas of the club. So yeah, excuse me, I got planes coming over, and for some reason I got a little cough this morning. But anyway, that night we went to what we call the four-way. Four-way is actually the spot in the club that carries you to the west side of the club, the east side of the club, or back to the south, and then up to two green patches that's way out in the woods. So this is kind of the point of the club. You got to come to this point to get to anywhere else on the club, pretty much. So also it's up on a hill, and so we can hear in all directions pretty good. So we go up there and we just part, and we get out and we're talking and just having a good time. And I went ahead and put my hunter ears on and kind of had it on low volume. That way me and Keith wasn't blowing each other's ears out while we was trying to talk, because he had his listening device going some, and we just sitting there talking, and all of a sudden I could hear something walking, coming toward us. Now, of course, the hunter ears I have, the only reason I knew it was coming toward us because it's getting louder. The hunter ears I have, it's hard to pinpoint what direction the noise is coming from. It's picking it up so well, it's just like it's coming from you from all sides. Now, what I liked about Keith's, his was more of one you could point in a direction. So he could take his and turn it, and he could find that direction it was coming from better. So, because what it would do is when it got to where that point, where that sound, it would amplify more. But if you can turn it, go low, mine was just amplifying everywhere. So, you know, but anyway, we could hear this walking coming. And I could tell it's bipedal because I could hear the choo, choo. I mean, it didn't have the deer sound. It didn't have all those things. It was a direct, you could hear the two steps. And I kept listening to it, and I told, and Keith had done pinpointed it, and we figured out what direction it was coming from. It was coming from the beaver pond area, and it was steadily coming up there to us. At a dead walk, So right up there where we were sitting, now this at the time, of course this is nighttime so we can't see. This at the time was about a 2 to 3 year old cutover. So it's about waist high in sage and brush and briars. Excuse me, I'm sorry. The pines had done been planted, but they maybe 2 foot tall. They hadn't really got at that really jumping stage where they were growing good. So, but right there around the road, the loggers had left some of the trees because they were old scrub brush, sweet gums. And so that area right around the four-way had some trees around it. And I could tell whatever it was walked up right in behind them trees and was standing there. I'm going to say probably 50 foot from me and Keith from where we were sitting. So we're pinpointed. We're looking at that eye, at that area. We're not really seeing no eye shine. And later on, I would learn about eye shine more. So me and him just kept kind of talking and paying attention because we was hoping we might get a glimpse of an eye or something looking at us, but never did. Well, about that time, I heard a twig behind us break. And I got to listening, and I could hear something moving real slow. And I mean, barely hear it moving. And I told Keith, I said, I think there's one behind us. And he said, yeah. He said, I heard the twig break too. And he said, I'm hearing a little movement too. And I mean, it was just real creepy, slow movement, and you could tell it was coming up behind us. So, we got one in front of us that just directly walked up there like he didn't care. And I told Keith, I said, that done got our attention. Or not saying they knew we had had listening device on. They probably don't know what that is really, but I think they know what cameras are, but I don't think they know what the recorders are. But they know there's something. I think when they come up around you, there's always more than one. I don't think you're ever going to see them by themselves a lot. If you see them one, there's another one around somewhere. Now, that's my opinion, and that's what I've noticed. In doing the research over the years, there's usually another one around somewhere. And even Mr. Tall had told me that. He said, I'm going to tell you now, Mark and Keith, and he said, if you see one, there's another one around somewhere. They're not far apart. So, we got this one in front of us that we haven't seen no eye shine. And I told Keith, I said, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn around like I'm not doing nothing much, just, fooling around. And I'm going to walk toward the front end of my truck where this one's at. Because the way my truck was sitting, and I'm going to just see if he moves or what he does, and see if I can see something. So I did, and I walked to the front end of my truck, and Keith's still standing at the back end, and didn't hear a movement or nothing. The other thing I forgot to mention was when that one first walked up, I could also hear him breathing. The one that came from the beaver pond side, I could actually hear him like he was sucking in, because he moved across that cutover quick. He come across that thing quick, and so I could hear him also. And, that's what you hear, just like he was taking in big puffs of air. Well, the one behind us, you couldn't hear nothing. Just like I said, I heard the twigs breaking. Every now and then, you'd hear that light step or crawl or whatever he was doing. Anyway, like I said, I went to the front side of the truck, sit there, just kind of looking. Never did see nothing. After, 5 or 10 minutes, I walked back to Keith, and he said, this one moved a little bit. And I said, did he? He said, yeah. He said, it's like he stepped back a little bit. He said, I heard the steps take back. Well, we kept standing there maybe for another 5 or 10 minutes, and all of a sudden you hear this one, the first one that came up, you hear him kind of go, like that, and you can hear him turn, and you can hear him walk off. And I mean, he went back the exact way he came. We could sit there and hear that choom, choom, choom. Well, the one behind us, we just started hearing racket back there. And you could hear the little twigs breaking and the little just sudden moves, and you could tell this one was backing up. And Keith said, they're leaving. I said, yeah, I guess they got their curiosity, took care of. And so that was the first time that me and him had really had something happen since that Mr. Tall, he used that elk call that time. So that made me and him feel good, and also that proved what Mr. Tall said. Sometimes just go somewhere and sit down and get, and that just like nothing's going on. And that's what we do now. Over the years, a lot of people run through the woods, and I ain't knocking that, don't get me wrong. I've walked that hunting club from one end to the other, since I discovered they were there, and, finding evidence of them, and spending as much time as I could up there. Of course, my family and work comes first. But, every spare time that I could offer to it, me and Keith were up there, and a lot of times he was up there by himself, sometimes I was up there. And I tell you, we wasn't telling, we told some people about it, and of course some people, made fun of us. I learned, just not to even worry about that. So that first time kind of gave us some encouragement. It showed they were curious what me and him was doing. From there, that kind of, like I said, it gave us some encouragement. It taught us something to do that actually might work. Of course, this was probably in August, so we was fixing to getting close to hunting season. I think the next month we will be getting ready to, plant our green patches on the fields, and it still stayed a little quiet. You're gonna see where it starts really revving up a little more as hunting season comes in, and we start coon hunting back regular, and plus, running our deer dogs during, deer season, where some stuff went on that, and probably had went on in the past. Like I said before, we just didn't catch it because we wasn't looking for that. That's one thing I figured out is, I've had people tell me before, and when somebody is a non-believer, I guess you'd call, or very skeptical, I try not to engage with them. I never have. One thing I started doing, and this gets the monkey off your back quick, is you invite them to go. That weeds them out in a hurry. Now I've had a few take me up on it, and guess what? They became believers pretty quick. And what I would do is invite people and say, hey, go with me. I'll carry you right the same, spot I go to, and, we'll sit there and talk. And I said, they'll show up before it's over with. And you're going to see over time where they start doing that all the time. They get where they come on a regular basis, just like they learn the sounds of those trucks. They knew my truck and Keith, and it's just like they making a beeline over there or something. I don't know. Just a lot of strange stuff. Going back to people not believing, I've had people say, well, I've hunted that property all my life, and I ain't never seen nothing over there, and I ain't never, them things, if they do exist, they out west. I said, no, they here in Alabama. I said, they here in the southeast. I said, they're there, and I said, the main reason you just don't notice it because you ain't looking for it. Just like me, I wasn't looking for them. I knew there was some strange things in the woods, I always knew that. I knew there was some stuff in the woods we didn't know what they were, but you know, I didn't really realize it was a Bigfoot. I just knew there was something else in there. But just cause being a coon hunter, you're in the woods at night, which is a total different than being there in the daytime. You know, most animals we have are nocturnal. So when you're there at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're down on a creek 2 miles from a road because you had to walk that creek to get to a set of dogs treed, you're down in deep woods and where nobody hardly goes. I mean, yeah, during the daytime you have some deer hunters that might go through there, or some squirrel hunters with dogs might walk in them creek bottoms. Nighttime ain't nobody down in them creek bottoms. Most people go camping, they camp right close to a road or in a campground or right on a creek bank close to a road where a road carries them to the creek. But when you really get in them places, that's when you start hearing some stuff. But y'all have to forgive me today. It's been a lot going on this morning. So, like I said, we're fixing to really get deeper into Creepy Mountain. I'm trying to do it as the time went. So I'm trying to stay with my months and my years and keep them kind of consecutive. That way this makes more sense, because you're going to see that it really starts, you know, revving up more. You're going to see more stuff happening. You're going to see more interaction with the boogers, because it comes a time they get where they're very vocal with us. They get where they're very brave with us, and what I mean by that, they're getting up close. But I will say, me and Keith and some of the other people that's been up there, I've only felt threatened twice in my life up there that I felt like it was time to go. The rest of the times I never felt like I needed to leave, but 2 times. Been growled at up there several times, but see, sometimes I'm wondering if the growl's really a growl. I don't know. You know, I don't know, you know, what that growl is. I don't know if it's a true growl or if it's a way of their speaking. I don't know. Now, I'm not going to say all of them are friendly and you can go shake your hand and talk to them. Nah, I ain't going down that road. But so far, these haven't showed any aggression that I would take as wanting to harm you. You know, I had one follower, and I'll tell about this later on. I'll get deeper into it, but one night we treed a coon, and I was last one in line coming out. Keith and Larry was ahead of me with their dogs. I had my dog, and I had one right on me and my dog's heel. I mean, you could hear him back there. He didn't care. And when I'd turn around and stop, me and the dog, I mean, when I threw the light on him, I could see his eyes and I could see the shape of his head looking at me. He could have had me and the dog. I think he was just following. I don't think he was being mean, but he wasn't throwing rocks. He wasn't growling. He wasn't saying. He just walking behind us. You know, when we'd walk, he'd walk. You know, so we'll get deeper into that though, because that night there was a bunch of stuff went on, and so. But you know, there's some of that stuff coming, and like I said, many times I've been up there on that club by myself, and I've been up there some at night by myself. You know, me and Keith both done that several times. Probably not a smart thing to do, just because I might get hurt and bit by a rattlesnake or something. But I had to overcome my fear, and that's the other thing is, you know, I had to make up my mind that if I was going to be a Bigfoot researcher and going investigating when people called, going where they seen something and look, that I don't have to be ready to overcome that fear. You know, if I got what they call charged, or a big rock thrown at me, or one just come on out and try to jump on me. I don't have to be ready for this in my mind, and I don't know if you can ever really prepare for it completely, but I knew that I needed to be in the mindset that I'm going to run into one of these things face to face sooner or later. Because I would go up there on the club and I would get in some of the thickest places on the club, and I'd walk right through the middle of it. I'm talking about a wall, and I'd go in these areas where I'd hear them calling, and me and Keith pretty much figured out where one of their bedding areas was. Right down slap in the middle of the club. It's in an area that nobody hardly hunts. I've walked in there in the daytime. Limbs be snapping. You could hear them walking. They didn't come mess with me. I just made my little walk through there and turn around and come back out. But that's for another time. Well, I'm going to let y'all go today. I hope everyone has a good weekend. Sorry about the video coming out a day late. Just sometimes things happen. I know this one didn't have a whole lot going on in it, but I'm trying to follow that line where, it shows you over time how it starts building, and then I'm going to throw some of the other investigations in there because they happened during that time. Because, like I said, Mr. Mike Mullane and Mr. Tall, when they got emails from people in my area, they call and give me their number, so I'd call and talk to them, and that's where I found out, there were more Bigfoot than just up on the club, and which I already knew somewhere in Hollins, but this is where I found out, in different places: Coosa County, Shelby County, Clay County, Calhoun County, over in Bibb County, and they're all over Alabama. I know the BFRO website don't show every county with a sighting, but they are there. There's a lot of more sightings than people think. There's a lot of sightings that go untold. In fact, I've got 2 or 3 that the people don't want me to tell. And of course, now they call and talk to me about it, but when I wanted to, write down a report, they didn't want that. They were scared somebody would still figure out that it was them, even though we wouldn't use their name or tell where they lived. We'd just give the general area. They still, no, I don't want that. And I just wanted to talk to somebody that had seen these things before, and that makes them feel better. That makes them go, well, I ain't crazy losing my mind. So there's other people seeing these things. So, well, like I said, I hope y'all have a good weekend. Give us a subscribe, a like, a comment, share us. I hope what I'm doing y'all like. I know a lot of people going, what's this have to do with homesteading? It does and it don't. One reason, I had a lot of friends push me to do this, and saying I need to tell what I knew. And also for a history standpoint, where one day maybe my kids or grandkids can go back and watch some of this, and hey, this is what my grandpa was doing with some of his spare time, and but if you do have a homestead, you might end up dealing with these things, especially if you're growing food and got livestock. You could end up having to deal with these things in one of these days. So always keep an open mind about that. Well, y'all have a good day, and this is Mark from Cedar Creek Bottoms Farmstead, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.